Herzlich willkommen in Finnland, im wunderschönen Finnland, genau gesagt in Helsinki, der Hauptstadt Finnlands. 500.000 Einwohner hat diese bezaubernde, gar mit Palmen versehene Sonnenstadt. Man geht hier eigentlich nicht hoch, weil alles total vereist ist. Und es ist unfassbar windig, es ist mega kalt, aber für das Wild tun wir alles. Wir werden uns morgen früh, Anne und ich, werden wir uns von Redlings Trials Evolution angucken. Ich bin ein großer Trials-Fan, freue mich auch mega drauf. Hoffe nur, dass ich diesen Abend in dieser extrem kalten Stadt überleben werde. Ja, mehr gibt es auch gar nicht zu sagen, weil meine Stimmbänder gerade einfrieren. Viel Spaß. Tschüss, ihr Schweine.
Publisher Ubisoft lud uns nach Finnland ein, um bei Entwickler Redlings einen ersten Blick auf Trials Evolution zu werfen. Der beste Ort der Welt, durch die Menschen sind sehr, sehr freundlich.
We have to go to
The Flow Hotel.
Kluvikatu.
Yeah.
Was heißt 4?
5.
Finnland besitzt eine Fläche von knapp 338.000 Quadratkilometern und ist damit nur minimal kleiner als Deutschland. Während in Deutschland fast 82 Millionen Menschen leben, leben in Finnland nur 5,4 Millionen, der Großteil im Süden Finnlands. Allein in Helsinki, der Hauptstadt des Landes, leben und arbeiten fast 600.000 Menschen. Die finnische Jahresdurchschnittstemperatur liegt bei 1 Grad. Das ist relativ kühl. Finnland teilt sich seine Grenzen mit Schweden, Russland und Norwegen, liegt zwischen dem 60. und 70. Breitengrad und ist damit eines der nördlichsten Länder der Erde. Einige Finnen sind so bekannt, dass ihre Namen weltweit geschrien werden. Rennfahrer Mika Häkkinen zum Beispiel oder Linus Torvalds, der Linux-Projektbegründer. Auch Politikerin Tarja Hallon ist relativ bekannt.
Das Gebäude ist übrigens eigentlich schwarz. Es hat nur den ganzen Tag extrem geschneit. Hier vorne übrigens, Christoph Daum wird sich freuen. Das ist quasi das Kokainaufkommen Finnlands. alles, das ist immer einer, der morgens hingeht und alles schön aufschaufelt.
Während unseres Besuchs bei Redlings sprachen wir unter anderem mit Tero Vitala, dem Managing Director.
I'm Tero Virtala and I'm the Managing Director of Redlings. Redlings has existed over 10 years. The company was founded year 2000 and in the early days we did a lot of smaller free-to-play games on the web, on mobile devices, on PC. And during this 10-year time, now we have made games to almost all the potential and non-potential game platforms, over 100 games in number of game genres. And those have created a lot of learnings, and now we are utilizing all that learning in Trials Evolution. So in the early years, when the company was founded, we already back then had the idea that we will only focus on really excellent games that could utilize the online features that were then rising up, and games that could also have potential on a number of platforms. And actually the first bigger opportunities that we faced were in the mobile space. So it was year 2002-2003 when Nokia decided to try to enter the mobile gaming market in a completely new type of concept, N-Gage, that could have become a rival for Nintendo DS and Sony PSP. And back in those days there weren't game developers that would have been able to develop really big games, completely new type of online connected mobile games. And Nokia organized a global competition among 50 potential and promising small game development studios to pitch ideas and game protos for them that could revolutionize the gaming world and become the flagship titles for the upcoming N-Gage. And eventually we won that competition with an idea and concept of a global turn-based strategy game. And eventually we were able to develop that game. It was a big game called Pathway to Glory that was then in 2004 actually also selected as the best mobile game of the year by the Mobile Entertainment Forum. That was a big step for us. After that we continued working with Nokia. We developed a game called Reset Generation that basically was a very new type of game about games. And I think those are two good examples of our past. They have been highly appreciated by the mobile gaming media and mobile gamers, and I think both of those games could have been big successes if Nokia's N-Gage had succeeded. Eventually it didn't. We changed our strategy, started to develop our own games. Games for iOS, they have been quite successful, like our recent game Draw Race 2 has been, and then definitely our biggest success has been Trials HD for Xbox Live Arcade, which has been one of the most successful online console games ever. We are at the moment about 50 people, plus we are using then some partners and subcontractors and freelancers in assisting us. Out of those 50 people, most of them are definitely game developers, so we focus on the game development teams, and 45 out of our 50 people are fully focused on developing games, and then 5 people are in supportive or managing roles. About 85% of our personnel comes from Finland. They have an engineering background, they are talented graphics artists or game designers or producers as a background. Most of them have been working around games for a longer time, between 5 to 10 years. Of course, we try to attract new talent as well, but especially in projects like Trials Evolution, where we want to set the benchmark really high. So in a way, not only create a good game, but also bring something completely new that the world hasn't yet seen. Those often demand the experienced people, and those are typically not the project where we take in junior people, but then we have other smaller projects where typically junior level people come in and start to learn, and at some point then they are ready for. The most important asset that we have, they are the people. We only try to create the best possible games. They need to be innovative games. In the game development projects there are often risks and a lot of work to be done by talented people. So in the end we know that it's the team and those individuals in the teams that either make the great game or don't make it. And that's why we have seen that we need to put a lot of effort into creating an atmosphere and culture in which people love to come every morning. They have a clear job that they are doing. They have a possibility to affect also into the bigger game projects in which they are. They need to feel that they have a potential to develop in their profession. They need to feel that they can support other people and they get support. And overall, kind of like try to create an atmosphere where people can fully focus on developing those great games, and in which people also feel that they are appreciated. That means that yes, they need to receive a good salary, they need to have a potential for good bonuses if the games succeed, but most of all, they need to be developing the type of games that they would love to play as gamers. And then there are, of course, many other things that we are doing. Yes, we are providing kind of like, especially in the afternoon and evening times, free food for the people who like to work here in the afternoons and evenings. Some soda drinks. We have different type of clubs that the employees can set up, and the company is providing them different resources and money. We have actually invested in a gym that people can use downstairs whenever they like for free. We have, of course, our collection and game library in which people can take games for free at home, and when they don't feel like playing them anymore, they bring them back. There are a lot of this type of things, and we have tried to encourage our people to come up with ideas that they would appreciate. And typically we then try to implement those ideas. Finland has been actually quite successful during the last 10 years' time, and I think our success also partly comes from that. So in one sense, Finland missed the first wave of big game development opportunities 20 years ago in the early 90s, mid-90s, when the first console generation emerged. Finnish game companies were back then still too young, they were not ready. There were only 2 or 3 companies that were able to make bigger console games at that phase. But the background for game development was really good. Finland had an underground scene in which kind of like young game development crews and kind of like people interested in video production got together and shared their work and tried to beat the work of the others and tried to support others. This has been a very kind of like culturally kind of like Western pop culture oriented. People have been playing games for a long time, and Finland in general has always been quite technology oriented country. So I think in the 80s, when the first personal computers started to come out, I think very few parents had any idea if those would be needed, but it was something new, something technological, so parents were buying those for their kids that maybe this would be handy for our kids in the future. So most of the generation that now is 30 years, between 30 and 40 years, they have been playing games their whole life. And that has created the situation where there are a lot of potential employees available. And actually at the moment, Finland, with the population of only 5 million people, we have 1,500 people working in game development, which is proportionally really high. And there are about 75 game development companies. They are mainly quite small, 5 people, 10 people, 20 people. Some kind of like biggest companies in the size of between 100 and 300 people. And when we compare it to that, I would say that we are one of the biggest ones, not the biggest ones, but in the top 10. Yeah, actually, what you see when you enter the office, there are a lot of shoes. And we don't have any company policy. No one has to take the shoes off. It's just a habit that people seem to have. And actually the same habit applies to many Finnish companies that have a younger kind of like employee base. And we have been thinking about where that comes, and most likely it's a combination of practicality and the combination of culture. And the practicality comes that at the moment we have had a good winter, a lot of snow. There is kind of like every place is white and beautiful. But now the weather starts to get warmer. The snow starts to melt, you start to see the kind of like sand and dirt, and if people would be now walking with their shoes here in the office, it would be awful. And I think that's the habit that is created in the fall time and springtime, but for some reason people seem to kind of like keep on hanging on that habit also in the summertime and winter time.
Nachdem wir die deutsche Presse in Grund und Boden fuhren, führten wir ein Interview mit Antti Ilvessuo. Er ist einer der führenden und leitenden Köpfe hinter Trials Evolution.
My name is Antti Ilvessuo and I'm creative director and co-founder of Redlinks. Well, Trials Evolution is evolution in every way. It has huge single player with huge variety of environments and maps. We have multiplayer online, local multiplayer, and we have almost limitless editor where you can share what you have created totally freely. Yeah, in Trials HD we had just straight driving lines, so you went from A to B, direct point, and that's it. In Trials Evolution we have curving driving lines, so if you are riding downhill and the racing line curves nicely, the camera follows. You don't have to worry about that camera follows you, but it gives much more natural look when you are racing. Well, we really wanted to give the players something to think about how they remember the tracks. In Trials HD it was really hard to remember what track you were playing because all the tracks were in environment and there were boxes and ramp, and that's it. But in Trials Evolution every track has unique theme, it can change dynamically, and every track looks totally different. We don't have two beachhead tracks, it's only one of the kind. So it's much easier to tell the friend what track you were playing. So how the online multiplayer works next. You can play after that also.
We don't care.
Well, in general in multiplayer it's about what rank and how far you can advance against other people. So you get ranking points from playing multiplayer, so that's kind of your personal thing. And also you gain some money again on multiplayer, so you can customize the rider and other people can see what you look like, so it's not just visually to you. Other people can see how would you customize your rider. And we have fully open public sharing system and server, so when you create a track, anyone can download it, you can share it with anyone, so you are not limited, only your friends. So we have fully working server this time which handles everything about finding tracks, sharing tracks, downloading and uploading tracks. Yeah, in Trials HD we unlock different difficulty levels if you just pass the levels. In Trials Evolution you have to earn certain amount of medals to unlock next events. So you are a better player when you have to have gold or silvers in levels to unlock next events. And also when you're grinding in levels you get some money, and that money can be used to customize your rider, so you can buy different helmets and gears and shoes or clothes, whatever. Well, editor itself is huge. There's practically no limits what you can do, so we haven't found any game you cannot do on editor. It became much huge than we ever expected it to be. And with that editor you can share tracks. But also it's really important that the main focus is still for most players is that it's Trials editor and you can make really cool tracks really fast. Making more complex stuff takes time and learning, but making simple Trials track is fast and easy. If you want to create really complex multiplayer games, yes, you can create Trials track on that editor also, but you can alter anything in the game, for example values, scores, camera angles, what are the rules in the game, anything. We have over 1000 different objects and you can colorize them dynamically. You can also alter the environment. Mostly our objects are used to build the tracks, so we have any kind of building elements in objects. Every map used in the game is happening in that arena. That is 2 kilometers wide, 4 kilometers long. You can place the starting point, ending point anywhere you wish on that place. But it's really huge and you can also save the terrain and change the values, so every map will look different. It's matter how you use the tools or how we use the tools when we created the map. It's kind of dynamic things you can alter in environment, so you can adjust the, for example, sunlight position, and you can adjust the fog, so there's different areas. So if you want to make some part of the track night, you have placed some pointer there in the track and adjust the values that okay, when I'm nearing this point the sun will set, so that kind of changes the weather dynamically. Evolution, we didn't want to copy any skill games. We want to think new ways to teach the players, because the skill games are new, good tool to teach the players how to play the game. For example, there's skill games where you have a limited amount of gas, or your gas is stuck, so there's always full throttle, and you have to kind of by leaning advance as far as possible. And then we have totally different kind of skill games where you are flying or rolling ball or whatever. But we didn't want to copy what we have. In editor we knew that people can create skill games that we have in Rise HD, and we expect that to happen, and that's totally okay. But as official game we want to bring something new to the table. We have Explosion Man and Limbo levels. We know all those guys, and we tested the editor. We noticed that hey, we can create Explosion Man, we can create Limbo. We mailed them and showed images. Is it okay? We put this in the game, and everyone is yes, this is cool. Let's use it, and those are in the game. Basically, we set all our designers free. That okay, level is ending. Do whatever you come up with mind. Invent whatever. It's free. Kill the rider in funny way or something happens. It's totally up to you. And that really paid off, so we didn't have any set rules that this level has to end like this. Everyone had ideas, so make them happen.
Tell us some of the fun stories.
Well, we had a big wrestling match, and I did the super wedge was one guy, and his underpants ripped into half. Maybe that was fun. But that's daily basis. Well, obviously there has been cases when you bail out and notice that the dude is actually flying because the forces were wrong. So that was those kind of things that happens all the time. That okay, dude is flying instead of riding, and some things color or appear totally different. One of our level designers is actually kind of old-time player, so I noticed he made really good tracks in Rise HD about 2.5 years ago. So I spotted him. Mailed, hey, do you want to come to work with us to make good DLCs? Obviously he didn't believe it at the start, but eventually I said, hey, this is real, later come to Finland and let's see how you work. It came really well, and now he has been working long time also in Evo and making editor better. In Rise Evolution it has been really great to see how things come together and actually how big the game actually is. And the editor is huge, multiplayer is huge, single player, everything. This is becoming a really huge game. So that's kind of the big success, and let's see how it goes when it's out.
Das war alles und mein kleiner Ausflug nach Finnland. Es war wunderschön, sehr, sehr kalt, aber die Menschen waren immer freundlich. Achso, ja, Trials Evolution ist extrem cool. Wirklich.